What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Anthony Sain Show. This is, of course, your host, Anthony Sain. Here with my man, Kenny Stubblefield, across from me from the World Wide Web. Kenny Stubblefield, what's going on, my brother?
My brother, you good?
Man, I'm great, man. It's going to be a great show today. Kenny, very seldom am I able to tap into 10-year-old Anthony Sain walking down the hallways of Alton Elementary School and then Willow Oaks Elementary School. Very seldom am I able to tap into that guy at all, Kenny Stubblefield on the show. But the guest we're having today for the Sit Down with Sain definitely stirs up 10-year-old Anthony Sain for sure. Elliot Perry is going to be our guest today for the Sit Down with Sain. I'm extremely excited to have this gentleman on, man. One of my true sports heroes, my original sports hero. Probably the reason why I give a crap about basketball at all is Elliot Perry, who's going to join us for the Sit Down with Sain. I'm extremely excited to have him on today, man.
Dude,
so many things we can talk to him about today on the show. Like I said, Elliot Perry will join us for the Sit Down with Sain. But Kenny,
I got a question before we can. You gonna let me get on that segment? Can I listen? let me at least.
I don't share my guests, man, babe. But today you gotta get on.
I'll sit here like this the whole time. I won't say a word. I promise. I won't say a word. You just gotta let me be in the room with y'all. Let me just hang out a little bit.
I think the only person that would be close to this guest is the UFC guys. Is probably the only guys. Be second to you, or the MMA guys would be the only guys that would be possibly higher than Elliot Perry as far as their excitement level is being geeked when they're in the studio. But like I said, Elliot Perry will join us for the Sit Down with Sain. It's going to be off the chain. A lot of stuff to talk about, man. A lot of stuff going on in the world of Tiger basketball. We had the passing of Jerry West, of course, and other things that are going on. Luka Doncic out there just looking bad, man. And I find myself vindicated. I've been ridiculed for so many years just for not bowing down and kissing the ring of Luka Doncic as a young Slovenian prospect back in the draft a few years ago. And I felt my vindication yesterday, seeing him finally getting the James Harden treatment by the national media. And it was a great moment for me last night. But since the last time we talked, Kenny Stubblefield, like I said, the Boston Celtics won last night in a game that should not have been as close as it was in the fourth quarter.
Right, they're about 20-something in the fourth, right?
Yeah, 21 points in the fourth quarter. The Boston Celtics won that game last night, a lot closer than it should have been. Kenny Stubblefield, I host Music Bingo with my man Kevin Cerrito, and I was doing this out in South Haven, Mississippi, and the game was on, but I couldn't hear the game, right? So I looked up in the middle of me working, and I see the game. I saw Boston extending the lead, got up to 21, and I left. I went home for the night, and I called a good friend of mine, a guy named Ezra Farrell, good friend of mine, longtime friend, really close friend of mine. And I'm talking plenty of shit because I know he's one of those guys who was real adamant about breaking up Boston, right? Then I know he's a big Kyrie fan as well. So I'm talking plenty of shit, man. I'm like, yeah, man, y'all talking about breaking my boys up, man. Look at him. We just talking shit. Man, he said, man, they coming back, man. Because, whatever, bro. They playing with them. They going to beat them by 20. Then I'm just riding in the car, riding home, and, the lead is 9. The lead is 6. I'm like, oh, shit. I said, I'm not talking no shit no more, man. No. But Boston ended up pulling the game out. Extremely wild moment, man, where Luka Doncic had 4 fouls, drew 2 fouls. Caused 2 fouls in a row. I think like back-to-back possessions, if I'm not mistaken. One was reviewed. He was yelling at the bench to review the play. They reviewed it. It was not overturned. Luka Doncic screaming at the bench. And we'll talk about that later on in the show. There's going to be his own topic within itself. But the Boston Celtics won. And I'll say this, man. I am a diehard Memphis Grizzlies fan. Jason Tatum is my favorite player that does not play for the Memphis Grizzlies. Him and Anthony Edwards are probably my favorite players that don't play for the Memphis Grizzlies. But I'm extremely happy for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, 2 guys that have been dissected their entire careers. Like I say all the time, they've been victims of early success. You know what I mean? So, and to see those guys a game away from the NBA Finals. And this Boston team, man, shame on us, bro, for questioning a team that is winning on a 80% clip this year, bro. 80% clip, man. They are, if they win Friday's game, they will finish the season 80-20 overall, including the playoffs.
That's so dumb.
It's crazy, bro. That's
so
crazy.
Dumb.
And shame on us for questioning that team, for doubting that team. A team that was clearly hibernating throughout the playoffs,
Right.
conserving their energy. You know what I mean? Against the teams, the competition they were playing against.
Does that kind of show you how good they are, though? Most teams hibernate in the regular season to ramp it up in the playoffs.
No, they took the entire first 3 rounds of the playoffs.
The first 3 rounds of the playoffs off, and then said, "All right, let's
see y'all in the finals." But you gotta think about it, man. That's something that Xavier Tillman talked about. Shout out to X as well. But y'all ain't gonna act like X wouldn't. Mediocre to all right most of his career in Memphis. We acting like he was just there's a reason why we traded him for a second round pick, But shout out to X. But I remember there was an interview where X talked about being on that team, how he learned how not to get too up for wins and not to get too low for losses, right? And because they're a team that's used to doing things. You're talking about a team with all these Eastern Conference runs, Eastern Conference Finals runs they've had, and trips to the finals and things like that. They're ready for this moment. Like they know how to get there. And when I say this team, I mean guys like Drew Holiday. I'm including his finals runs as well and his Eastern Conference Finals runs. And I just think this team they're a very good team, man, because they have the luxury of having, like I said, a Derek White and a Drew Holiday who can guard your two best guys. And then you can throw Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum at those guys as well to trap and just make things harder for them. And that's a luxury that they definitely have. That team can kill you, man. And they didn't have Porzingis last night at all. Still, looked very good against Miami the entire game. It is Miami team that because if you looked at polls or predictions, all these type of things, you had so many fans that were pulling for Dallas to win or thought Dallas would win easily based on how Boston has kind of slept all through the playoffs. But Boston has looked like a team that's won 80% of their games this year, man. So, like I said, I think they're a phenomenal team. I'm happy for them. I'm a big Jason Tatum fan, and I thought I was gonna be all right last night, man. Tatum had 20 points in the first half. I said, there goes my Finals MVP, man. He's finally gonna have that breakout game that's gonna solidify him as the Finals MVP. And it didn't happen. Jaylen Brown went off in the second half. They both finished with 30 points, and it just looked like two dudes who feel vindicated. You know what I mean? Two guys who are obviously closer than we try to make them out to be. People tried to dissect those two guys, trying to find some type of issue with them, something to try to break those two apart. They're clearly friends. They clearly care for each other. They clearly are submissive to each other on the court. Like they defer to each other, and they play beautiful basketball together, man. And you can say what you want to say about how many 3-pointers they take and all these type of things. They know how to win, bro, and they know how to lull you to sleep, and they know how to explode on you when you think that they're down. And they're insane defensively. You've seen so many videos and breakdowns of people showing exactly what Boston's doing. I can't make any sense of it, but they look effing incredible doing it. And they're a game away from winning the championship. I'm happy for them. I feel like y'all felt when Marcus All won his championship because I'm living vicariously through Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
They get it done, right? Like it's done, right? Like it's like they get it done in 4, or they get it, or you think Dallas gets 1?
I think that game of the night broke their heart because I think you're going to see pouty Luka Doncic for sure in game 4.
1,000%.
When you see national media and LeBron sent out he told Brian Windhorst push the nuke button, destroy him.
he hit the Mortal Kombat finishing move on him,
right?
Yeah,
man. And like I said, when that type of stuff, the people you're seeing say things critical about Luka, but it's time, man. These are things that I've been saying. Like Luka Doncic, the fact that he does not take care of his body is an issue.
And that's an issue.
Yeah, yes. We'll talk about that during the sit down with Sain. I really want to jump into that a little bit longer for sure. But man, go ahead.
I kept hearing, so I didn't get a chance to watch the game last night either because I was filming at the 901 FC game last night, which
you were there?
In and of itself was a wild game, bro. You should have seen it. It was wild. Like coaches almost fought. Stephen Glass almost got into it with the coach. Yeah, dude, it was wild. It was wild. Damn. Like it was crazy. They were down, like real quick. They were down. 901 FC was down 2-0. Going into stoppage time after the second half, 9-minute stoppage time in the second half, or after the full time was over, and they scored 2 goals to tie it in 9 minutes. No. Yeah, bro, it was crazy.
The game was a tie.
They drew with them. Yep.
Damn.
It was wild.
I can never make those midweek games at all.
Oh, dude, it was so much fun. And so the coaches were getting into it. The assistant coaches. It was crazy last night. So anyway. Wow. I say all that to say, I was watching. I was kind of keeping up with the score.
Look at you getting hooked on 901 FC like I told you, bro.
Hey, I'm telling you, man. I said in the Discord last night, I've seen the light, bro. Like it is so much fun. Anyway.
It's hard to explain why it's fun, but you're just enjoyable games, bro. Like it's just relaxing. And it's like you don't really have a high level investment in it because for 9 times out of 10, you don't know who's doing what out there.
I don't know what's going on out there.
Yeah, it's super fun, bro.
I have to ask people all the time, like, what just happened? Like, why did that just happen? Like, I had this dude in my ear the whole night, in my ear about the rules, and I'm like, okay, bro, I got it. Like, I can't learn it all. Like, you know, I'm trying. But anyway, so I didn't get a chance to watch the finals game, but when I got the very end of it, what's the coach, that old coach that used to coach the Arizona Cardinals and in the NFL, he was talking about the Chicago Bears, and there's that
this
quote.
This is the second we call 2 non-NFL dudes talking about
yeah. He said there was in a press conference. They were in the press conference and they got smashed by the Bears, and he was like, "They are who we thought they were.
We thought they were.
Yeah. They are who we thought they were."
I can't remember his name. Dennis Green.
Dennis Green.
Yeah. Look at us on NFL shit.
Hey, listen, but that's who I thought. That's what I thought when I saw that game. I was like, Luka, man, like he is who we thought he was. Like Kyrie is the man. Luka had a great first 3 rounds of the playoffs, but he is who we thought he is. He's fat, he's out of shape, and he is a whiner.
And he can't defend nobody.
You don't think he picked up those fouls because he couldn't move his big ass around?
Right. He couldn't get in defensive position because he's a horrible defender. He's
horrible.
And he clearly doesn't take care of his body, and he doesn't take care of his body in the offseason or during the season at all. And it's showing it's rearing his ugly head at the worst time. Yep. But, man, enough of these bums. Congrats to the Boston Celtics. You guys are watching today. The coronation of the next NBA champion is going to be tonight. And what y'all finna stop doing is hating on these folks and talking about, oh, man, the NBA, these finals suck, or the NBA just sucks right now. Now, y'all was all happy a few weeks ago when y'all was crowning Baby Jordan and all these folks, and Luka is the next Larry Bird and all this type of stuff. And now that y'all folks got put up out of here, and the real kings, you know what I mean, about to win the championship. Now the league is ass. Okay.
Now the league's ass again. Now it's trash again, apparently.
Now it's trash. Yeah. Stop all that. Stop it. Crown them boys. I'll tell you what, Kenny, about to take a break, man. When we come back, Elliot Perry is going to be in the building for the sit down with Sain. We'll see you guys in a minute.
Give me your position group or player or however you want to break it down that you're the most confident in and the least confident in.
Whether Arthur Kaluma plays for Memphis or not, it's the backcourt of Tyrese Hunter and PJ Haggerty. Them getting PJ Haggerty this year first was a needle mover to the highest degree, I think, in terms of what kind of expectations for this team. In terms of weakness, depth, maybe not having David, and not, if they don't land Arthur Kaluma, not having Arthur Kaluma, I think then depth becomes an issue. But I would also counter that and say we probably won't be hearing over the season, why is Penny playing 12 players? Shorten his rotations. Well, now it's kind of forced to if they don't have the horses off the bench to be able to come in and produce. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing for a Penny Hardaway team.
Tune in to On the Bluff with Christian Fowler and Gabe Kuhn every Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
We have not paid attention, to the NBA for a while if we think that because Ant is succeeding and becoming a face of the league, Ja can't be a face of the league. And I just think it's a needless conversation.
Like, you can clip a Ja highlight, an Ant highlight very easy. And I think that's why those two dudes 100% will be two of the faces of the league going forward.
There's all kinds of guys that are talented enough you could throw him into that conversation. When he's healthy and when he's playing, Ja is the number one guy they push. Because he is, 1, a winner, and 2, an absolute highlight factory. I couldn't give 2 damns about who's the face of the league if the Grizzlies win a championship.
Yeah, I don't care.
Come hang out with Daniel Greer and Nathan Qualls on Grizz 901 Live every Tuesday night at 9:01 live on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Anthony Sain Show. I opened up the show talking about Kenny Stubblefield. That there are not many times when I feel 10 years old again. And this is definitely one of those times, man. I have several sports heroes, but there was one It started
Yes.
all of my sports fandom for sure. And this man is sitting right here beside me as a guest on the Anthony Sain show, the legendary Elliot Perry in the building. Elliot Perry, what's going on, my brother?
What up? What up? What up? Yeah, man. I appreciate you guys inviting me on. I was waiting on my invitation. Did I hear something about a 100th episode or something like that?
Yeah, I did have 100
Congrats,
episodes.
man. Congrats.
Oh, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
So yeah, I'm glad to be on, man. So yeah, again, I appreciate you guys inviting me.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you could come on for sure. Kenny, there are many people that when I see him, I just turn to fanboy mode. And every time I see him, I see Elliot all the time. I see him out out on the town. I see him at games and we shake hands and we speak. It is just, I'm awestruck every time I see him. Like, it's just, I admire Elliot. I admire you for being, of course, for the sports stuff. You're a local philanthropist for the city of Memphis. You do so many things that are known and unknown that you do for the city. So, like I said, man, we definitely appreciate you coming on today to, talk Grizzlies basketball, talk Tiger basketball, and just talk about your career in general. We'll start off here. The NBA Finals are going on right now. The Boston Celtics are up 3-0 in that series. You see a Boston team who I often talk about are victims of their own success. You know what I mean? A young team who was Eastern Conference bound, NBA Finals bound, all these things. Very young in the careers of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. When you see a team like that, as someone who's done it at the highest level playing in the NBA, what are your takes on some of the criticisms and the frustrations that you hear from people who criticize those guys for not winning earlier, or they're saying that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum couldn't win? What's the level of vindication that you think that they feel going through what they're going through now?
I think sometimes it's unfair, of course, because how they've won in the playoffs so far. I mean, I think how successful they've been, even still criticize them. And again, I always feel like you never have to make excuses for winning a playoff game, because every playoff game is important, super important. It's hard to win playoff games. People see them and expect, Tatum and Brown to do it the way they want them to do it. But I feel like when you look at the situation of the Boston Celtics right now, their time has come. This is a team where their time has come, and they realize that, as you can see by the way they've approached the playoffs all the way through. And so you look at the addition of White, you look at the addition of Jrue Holiday, you look at the addition of Porzingis, who really, hadn't played a lot in these last two series. Al Horford, a veteran guy, but I think they've really taken on the personality of their coach. You see, they don't have a lot of volatility. These guys are not up and down. These guys are not talking a whole lot of BS in the media.
We talked about this.
They just stay the course. And I think there's something to be said about really being, hyper focused on the job at hand. And I think they're over halfway there. The game last night was critical. That win was super critical.
Yeah, it was a good win. Like I said, they came through adversity. We're up by 21. The league got cut down to 1, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And they just would not let them get over the top.
Well, and not to cut you off, but you have to be able to win games like that. Teams are going to make runs. You have to be able to, down the stretch, make the right plays down the stretch. And I always say down the stretch, you want the ball in your best player hands. And because I think they're going to make the best decisions. Having played with Charles Barkley, having played with Jason Kidd, the ball was never not in their hands down the stretch. Because if they get double teamed, they're going to make the right read. You saw that last night when White knocked down the 3-point shot. You saw the shot Brown took and made. That wasn't an easy shot. The free throw line extended shot he made. And so, again, it's a testament to their preparation, but also the ability to be able to go out there and execute that without panicking.
The natural response when your team is at the house, right? You still think you have a good team, is to kind of watch the NBA playoffs or the finals and say, okay, how could my team measure up? Could my team get to this height, or what does my team need to do to get here? As a definite Grizzlies fan and also a former Grizzly, what do you think it would take for our team, the Memphis Grizzlies, to play on that highest stage, and not just the NBA finals, but just make that deep playoff run like that?
Yeah, I mean, I got a couple of opinions about that. I think one is you're not going to win in this league if you don't have elite guard play. I think we do have that. You're not going to win in this league if you don't have that third and sometimes fourth guy. I think we have multiple guys that can put the ball in the hole, but I also think you need wings really that are versatile. What I mean by that is wings that are able to, if they look up at the shot clock, they see 3 seconds on the clock, 4 seconds on the clock, they're able to put the basketball on the floor and still go make a play. They're able to make the right reads. They're able to defend. And so you have, what I call a lot of interchangeable players. I think, we probably need to get a little bit deeper there. I think, obviously we always talk about the center position and having that size. I think that takes a lot of pressure off Jaren. I think, right. When you play the center position, if you were Jaren, I think you can do it. You've shown you've been able to do it over time successfully, but I think if you do it extensively, banging with big guys over time, it just takes its toll. So you don't want to put that pressure on Jaren to have to play center all the time. So you do need some additional size. But, I like the team that we have. Again, I think we need to get a little bit deeper. And then the last thing I'll say about that is if you're going to win it all, I think, relationships matter. And what I mean by that is when you look down your bench, you got guys who've been there before. You got guys who've been in the trenches before, because I think that's players are able to respond to those things. And so on the one hand, you want to have a situation where you do have the analytics and you do have the data. You want to be able to, lean on some of that things, but you can't lean on that only. I think relationships matter. Again, I'm an old school thinker in that because I think players and styles make fights. We look back at this series, all of these series, I think Denver would have been a tougher out for Boston, I think, and Minnesota. I think, again, I just think styles make fights, and so the Boston got the right situation with Dallas.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that for sure. EP, we've seen you represent the Memphis Grizzlies in the NBA draft lottery for years, right? And we've seen you in that chair. I'm going to move you from that chair to another chair, EP. I'm going to put you in the GM chair for the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm going to put you right in the war room, right? All right, so what are some guys that you're kind of interested in the draft, whether that's for the Grizzlies or not? And, what are some of the guys in the draft that you've kind of taken interest in?
I mean, I didn't follow college, I don't really follow college until like the NCAA tournament. Obviously, you think about Klingon, and I think I think that's going to be a long shot. I don't know. I mean, it could, it could be a 9. It could move up, but Klingon has shown the ability to, make the right moves. Ooh, yeah. I think one of the things about Klingon that I really like is he is a plug and play guy. I personally don't want to continue to babysit guys. I think we need to have a veteran guy who needs to be able to go right now. He has the experience at the center spot, but I think he is a guy because of his ability he's mobile, he's big, he's a rim protector, he can finish around the basket. And so I think he is one of those guys who, even though he's young, he's still a plug and play guy. Obviously, he can shoot the basketball and some of the things I talked about, can put the basketball on the floor. But I think this year has given us an opportunity really to evaluate some guys, and so you saw Gigi come into to focus. You saw Vince come into focus. So I think those guys are going to really help us. And my hope is that I don't know how Derrick Rose in terms of his health, but my hope that Scottie Pippen, I thought he showed a lot of promise as well. Scottie Pippen Jr.
Well, you talked about having guys that are ready to compete. What are some of we're talking about getting the big man here. So are there any guys on other rosters that you look at that would be a perfect candidate to be on this Grizzlies team, whether it's a trade or a free agency?
Yeah. It's hard when you're part owner to talk about other people's rosters, but just for virtue of this conversation, I mean, obviously you look at guys who could be a fit. I mean, we had Steven Adams. I thought that was a perfect fit for us, but so you look at guys like Clint Capella. I think he's a guy who really can finish around the rim. He's tough. He's ready to go, and I think he's dependable and he's available. He's always available, and not saying that from a trade perspective. I'm just saying from a health perspective. Yeah, he doesn't miss a lot of games, and I think that's what you're going to need. And also a guy who's been there before, and that other guys are going to respect. Down the stretch is when you win and lose games. To me, last 5 minutes of a game. And I think, you have a guy like that, he'll be ready to play. So that's just one example. I think there are many other examples, but I think that could be a good fit. They've talked a little bit about my man in Cleveland,
Jared Allen.
I think he's the perfect fit as well. A guy who could defend. And when I say these guys are perfect fits, I mean it in this way, and I mean this with all due respect, is these guys are low maintenance.
Yep.
They're not rah-rah guys. They're not guys who, they don't, require a ton of touches, but they're going to go out there night in and night out and do their jobs. I think that's what we admire so much about Steven Adams. And so, those two guys come to focus in terms of, I think those guys would elevate our team.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. As far as getting the center position, whether it's through the draft or free agency or a trade, I think there's so many options that the Grizzlies definitely have, going forward. Another thing, as far as the NBA is concerned, Elliot, is that the face of the league conversation has been a big thing. We've heard guys like, Anthony Edwards thrown in this conversation.
Oh, yeah.
We have Grizzlies fans who will say, hey, don't forget about Ja Morant and those type of things. Do you think the league particularly needs a face or faces, or do you think that's kind of a redundant conversation, or and also where do you see Ja Morant in that type of conversation?
I still consider Ja Morant, if you broke the league down to old heads, young heads, you still think about LeBron, Steph, KD, kind of all those guys are still, the face of the league.
Right.
But I think when you start to look at young guys who are going to be the next in line, I think you definitely, Anthony Edwards is definitely in the mix. Mm-hmm. I think Ja's in the mix. We saw that the year prior to last year and some of his other troubles, that the league really was pushing Ja Morant by virtue that we had a lot of games on TV. This guy is, in my opinion, the top showman in the league. There's no question about it, night in and night out. And I say on the radio all the time, we get spoiled because we're able to see this night in and night out in person, where other teams don't get a chance to see that. He can sell tickets on the road. He's a highlight film waiting to happen. And his personality is there. He's cross-cultural, where what I mean by that is kids like him, rappers like him, other basketball players like him. So, he's must-watch TV. And so from that perspective, I think Ja, when he gets back on the court, he won't have any trouble becoming, again, in the conversation of being one of the faces of the league, So I think there are multiple guys that are the face of the league, but I think Ja's right there in the mix.
When you look at Ja, you haven't really heard much from Ja, good or bad. He just we know he's alive. He'll pop out on Twitter every now and again, but we haven't heard anything much from him. He's done his summer camp thing for the kids, a couple workout videos that came out this summer. And the question I have for you, Elliot, is quiet Ja a good Ja right now? The fact that we're not hearing anything about Ja at all, is that a good thing to you?
I think it is. I think it speaks to, something we've mentioned to him and his, family in general is go about your business, because there is such a thing as kind of oversaturation of, like I see you, particularly if it's bad stuff. So I just think Ja wants to, go in the lab like he talked about, go dark and then come back out healthy, and people get an opportunity and a chance to see what he's been working on, but also coming out with a clear mind and a clear head. I think there's something special about playing with clarity. And again, when you have all these other things pulling at you, which you have enough stuff pulling at you anyway, that's just in general, being Ja Morant, just in general. But when your mind is cloudy, when you go out on that court, you can't play with clarity. And I think you saw Anthony Edwards this year as he elevated himself, play with clarity. He knew, I just broke through. And so you saw him starting to play that way. And I think Ja is the same way. I think he we just need to get back in the gym, get back to being healthy as an organization, get back to the playoffs. And I think that's where you make your name in the playoffs.
Elliot, we had Brevin Knight on the show. Classic, BK. Yeah, my guy, BK. He in a classic interview, and we asked him what makes Ja Morant so good. And with him being a pro, he broke it down in ways we never heard before. And I have another pro on the show, so I have to ask you again, what separates Ja Morant from other elite guards in the NBA, in your opinion?
I think Ja Morant is an acrobat. If I was in the circus, I think this guy is he can make something out of nothing. You can look up at the shot clock, 2 seconds on the clock. He can get there. He can finish in traffic. He has a nice little floater. You saw him work on his jump shot. So I think that, he still needs to continue to work on that. But his jump shot is at least he can keep you honest. And what people don't realize about him, and I think maybe people do is he's a great pick and roll runner. His creativity is off the chain. And the last thing I'll say is he's a great decision maker. When this guy gets in the air, he can make decisions that you feel like he's in trouble, and he makes something out of nothing. And so I think, when you have all of those elements along with the dog and the tenacity that he has as a player, again, when you come out there, he doesn't feel like there's any guard in the league that can handle him one-on-one. He plays with the two. I played with Stephon Marbury. I used to, right before we went out for warm-ups, I used to put these 2 chips on his shoulders, like play with 2 chips on your shoulder. Yeah. And I think Ja does that night in and night out. So that's what makes him, a special guard.
Yeah, for sure. When you watch the NBA Finals, you see Joe Mazzulla, right, who a coach who last year people were saying, "Oh, bring the other guy back. They should never let go of the other guy," right?
Yeah.
This year he's about to win a championship. When you look at a guy like Taylor Jenkins, right, we get all the criticism from him here in the city of Memphis, from Memphis fans. Could you see him being the guy who could take the Grizzlies to that level, who could be a coach who may have flaws or whatever, but still could be good enough to lead a team to a championship?
Yeah, I think, I think, when you're coaching a team, particularly a young team that's growing and trying to get over the hump, I think you have to be creative. These are my opinions. I think you have to be creative. And what I mean by that is, again, I think you have to be able to use your data in terms of, who can do what or when they do things and however they use the analytics. But I also think that in times of need, you need to be able to be creative out on the court. You have to go to your plan A, you have to go to your plan B. Sometimes you have to go to your plan C sometimes. And one of the best coaches that I played for, who was able to do that. I played for 2 coaches who were able to do that. One in a loose way was Paul Westphal. Obviously he allowed his players to really go out and play basketball, but he had to plan B. The best coach that I've been under that can do that is Scott Skiles. This guy was a basketball savant. He was a genius, and so he wasn't stuck to like I got to do it this way. I'm going to do the same thing. Like he was really creative out on the court. And I just think that you have to be willing to try different things depending on the way your team is playing. And depending on the way the other team is playing, you're really trying to throw them off their square sometimes, really trying to play zone sometimes versus man, really trying to trap the pick and roll, turn it down. Like we're going to figure something out until we figure out what's right. But I do think that Taylor Jenkins has created a good culture for this basketball team. These guys have grown, no question about it. It's always easy to go from a C to a B or a D to a C, but can you go from a B to an A? And I think that's the question for Coach Jenkins is, can you go from a B to an A? And with a healthy team, this is going to be an interesting year for the Grizzlies. And
I think that's a fair question to ask. Can he be the guy that can, like you said, go from a D to a C, C to a B, and then B to an A, which is the ultimate goal? I think that's a fair question to definitely ask. You mentioned Scott Skiles when you listen to some of your great coaches. Scott Skiles, of course, was a former Orlando Magic guard, a great point guard who ended up being a great coach as well. We got another one of those here in Memphis, Penny Hardaway, a guy that you definitely have a pass with, whether it's at Treadwell High School or at the University of Memphis. The great Penny Hardaway is the coach of the University of Memphis. What are your thoughts on the team this year? Tough year, admittedly a tough year for Penny last year. This year doing some good things in recruiting. Couple setbacks, you lost David Jones, those type of things, but you got the NIL funding. It seems like if they want to get another guy, they can definitely get another guy here in this kind of the end of that recruiting period. So what are your thoughts on the state of Tiger Hoops and Penny Hardaway having a bounce back year next year?
Let me answer that in 2 ways. Let me just going back to Coach Jenkins and going back to the NBA and going back to coaches in the NBA. Again, I think that, NBA teams also, and Coach Jenkins has been a product of this. I mean, obviously he's been here, 5 years or whatever. I think that when teams hire a young coach, I'm going back to, and again, I don't want to talk about teams because, I respect all teams in their decision, but when teams hire guys who really don't have that experience in the head coaching seat, a la Adrian Griffin, a la Darvin Ham, a la some of those guys, I think you do have to give guys a runway to be able to figure this thing out. And I think with that runway, because you got to realize they're learning too. They're trying to, figure out the chess pieces on the board. They're trying to make the moves. And then obviously we got to get players in, get players out. And so really giving them an opportunity really to grow and to work through their mistakes. I think that's part of it. Now, if I plug that in with Penny. And I said this many times about Penny. I'm good with where we are. Obviously, we had a tough year last year, and he and I talked about that. We text almost every game. We he talked about that. I think that if you take Penny Hardaway in a vacuum, he's been here how many years? 5 years, 6 years? I can't remember.
5 or 6.
Right there, whatever. When you hired him, you got to remember now, no college head coaching experience. This guy was a high school coach. So I think that, if you hired a high school coach and you gave him a 3-year runway, and that was interrupted by, the pandemic, a 3-year runway, you hope that obviously he would grow. Now he's done a good job of recruiting, getting your program back in front of, many people, getting your program on the list of a lot of different recruits, obviously with Mike Miller, all those guys. So you've seen that. I think now it's time for him to think about this and we've talked about this, is really to stabilize in your coaching staff. I think you have to stabilize your coaching staff, and you got to be able to retain your coaches, because when players are going in and out, the many voices that players hear, and you're always trying to strengthen your staff, but you want to try to maintain the core of your staff, because again, this is when we're building they were building the plane while they were trying to fly it. Okay, we got the plane built now. We need to stabilize that, and then retain your players as much as possible. I think that's critical, that you have this kind of tier recruiting piece where if you are getting guys out of the portal, you may get some guys who would be seniors, you may get some guys as juniors, and you have some sophomore guys, but you have to be able to get those guys to stay. You can't have 7, 8, 9, 10 recruiting 9, 10 guys every year, and then hoping to build a camaraderie, build a team, put those guys out there. Now it can work sometime, but if you can retain, in my opinion, 6 of your guys, sometimes 7 of your guys, you can retain some of your core guys, and then you add to those pieces, I think you're going to be a much better team. You look at the team last year, even though we got off to a good start. I mean, he had one player from the year prior, and that was his son, I think. So again, you just got to get your guys to be able to stay.
I definitely agree with you for sure. Like I said, he's done a lot. He's done a lot in these years. Like you said, there's just some continuity things, like you said, that could take things to the next level. My final question for you here, Elliot. Me and Kenny talked about how you're a hero of ours, our sports hero, and how you've affected so many things in the city of Memphis, seen and unseen. Who are some of your sports heroes? And when you were coming up, who got you into playing basketball, and who were the guys that you looked at, whether it was high school guys, college guys, NBA, whatever? For you?
I'll be honest with you. I think the person who had probably the most effect on my life is my mentor, Michael Toney, a guy who lived on my street, who was a freshman at the University of Memphis, at Memphis State at the time. Started mentoring me when I was in the 6th grade, and his ability to expose me, to challenge me, to get me to think outside of my own community, where I was, and take me to play with older guys. At Memphis State, and these guys, Larry Simpson, who was killing me. But I also think that I'm a product of my environment in a good way. And what I mean by that, particularly as it relates to basketball, what I mean by that is everything I got from basketball, I had to earn in my neighborhood. And when you go to Hollywood Community Center, Ed Lemon, Michael Hines, Steve Bull, all those guys, you got to earn what you get and so those guys are my heroes, but if I took it to college, obviously I played and watched Andre Turner and Keith Lee and all those guys. So, I love the University of Memphis team, Pearl Washington I watched, but I say one of my favorite players was Maurice Cheeks and, Julius Erving, but Maurice Cheeks really, because when I was a McDonald All-American, we had the All-American game, the McDonald's All-American game in Philly at the Spectrum, and the first day we went to watch the Philadelphia 76ers practice, and so you're able to meet Dr. J, you're able to meet Maurice Cheeks, Andrew Toney, Charlie. So I was in awe, but I was already in awe of Maurice Cheeks before that, and so that's one of the players that I truly admire, for the way he played, but also just kind of his personality in general. But one quick story on growing up in the neighborhood and really having to earn your stripes. I can remember, if you ever been to the community center, there's a big end and a little end, what we call a big end, like the older guys play on this big end, and then the little guys, the young guys play on this little end. So you get on the big end, you have to sign this list and, first four, next four, whatever. And we always played on the little end before it. So I think I was in maybe 9th grade, summer going into my 10th grade year. I came in the community center, and the director pointed to the board, put your name up there. So put your name on the big end. Let's see what you got. I've been watching you. Let's see what you got.
Oh man, you got called up.
So I got called up.
And
you put your name on the big end, and obviously guys don't want to play with you because if you lose, you gotta go back to the list. You dropped all the way down. You made, and I think that moment helped shape me. And one of the things that really shaped me was my sophomore year. I had a great year my sophomore year. My name was in the paper. I'm the 6th leading scorer in the city of Memphis. And I never will forget Ed Lemon, John, Michael Hines, all those guys. I came to the community center that summer. They said, we see your name in the paper, but you haven't gotten past us yet. So we're not coming to watch you. If you got to get past us. That summer, I broke through going into my junior year. And, lo and behold, my first game coming out for warm-ups, the very first game my junior year, I see those 3 guys sitting front row at my game. And, that kind of stuff is you have to go through the fire. You can't go around it. And I think that helped me, just kind of build the resistance of I'm not going to give in. I'm not going to quit. If you beat me, I'm going to come back tomorrow. If you beat me, I'm going to come back tomorrow. And so I think there's something to be said about being defeated, that you still can come back and still try to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. And so, that's what you want to get to young guys to really realize is, there is something good about losing sometimes, not that you want to lose, but there's something you can learn about that.
It definitely feels like that in your past, that the community centers, the neighborhood centers, those basketball courts over there where you grew up kind of shaped your competitiveness, your ability to, so part of your legacy here in the city of Memphis is that you are a part of the Poplar Foundation. You help out the organization in which you're a part of. Basically is kind of the driving force behind a lot of the nonprofits that work here in the inner city of Memphis. It's kind of where, like, I grew up watching you play, but was reintroduced to you when I started to work at MAM. Anthony, that's where I met Anthony at. You are involved with MAM. Kind of talk to us about why the community centers being vibrant in the city of Memphis is so important to the young people in the city, and kind of where it is right now. Like, where do you think all of that is in the city of Memphis? Like, is it healthy right now? Where do you think? That's my question. Is basically, what do you think it is right now? Where is it right now?
Yeah, as it relates to just kind of the Poplar Foundation, the nonprofit that I work for, I've been in awe of the people who fund the foundation and the work that we do in the community. It's such important work because it obviously gives nonprofits an opportunity to go do what they do. We feel like, when we support MAM, when we support streets, when we support some of the community centers, it's an extension of education. And we feel like education really is the true vehicle for getting out of poverty, for taking that next step. And so, we want kids to have a safe haven, like to be able to be after school, go to MAM, go to some of these community centers, and that's a safe haven for a lot of kids. Their parents know where they are. People in the community centers know who they are. I think, where community centers are now is, I think it's hit and miss a little bit. I think when you look at some of the healthy community centers, I love Binghamton Community Center. I think, because the people, Janita, I can't remember my man's name who just retired, but has been there for forever. everybody know them, everybody respects them when they come in there. They're healthy respect for their community center. Ed Rice Community Center, that's a newer community center now. I still feel like Hollywood Community Center is one of those places where kids can go and people are still pouring into kids. And then again, some of these other nonprofits, they're not community centers, but they read like community centers. Memphis Athletic Ministry, Streets Ministries, Repairing the Breach, LEC, Leadership Empowerment Center over in Fraser. So there are some other places that are giving kids a safe haven to go. So man, I'm if somebody didn't know me for basketball, they just met me, in the last 5 or 6 years, they would know me for being out in the community and really trying to make a difference.
Yeah. Well, Elliot, man, like I said, me and Kenny both have that background working with young people. I know you from those streets as well, man, for sure. And I just want to thank you, man. Like I said, you talked about getting called up to the list, right? To the big list.
Yeah, to the big list,
for adding these kids to that list as well, man. Call them up to the big leagues, to the things you've been doing for the community, man. And we appreciate you, bro. But
yes, sir.
Yeah, we're gonna let you up out of here, man. I heard the bat phone ringing. I know you finna stay today over there, man. But I tell you what, man, we appreciate you coming on, Elliot, man, for sure. And guys, we're about to take a break. When we come back, it's gonna be the 3-pointer here on the Anthony Sain Show. See you guys in a minute.
It is time once again here on the program for what's going on with Caitlin Clark. She's not on the Olympic team. Brevin, are you outraged that Caitlin Clark is not on the Olympic team?
I don't care one bit, Rob.
Oh man, I thought you'd have a big take.
She's not one of the best players in the world. She is the best marketer for women's basketball right now. Yes. But she's not one of the best players, and all of those people that are on that team are worthy of being there. It's like, so who will you take off to put her on? And she's played a lot of basketball. I don't see it as being a story of anything other than there are other better basketball players than she is at this moment.
And she'll get there. She'll get there in 4 years probably.
Heck yeah.
Tune in to the Night Court Podcast with your hosts, Rob Fisher and Brevin Knight, on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
These non-Power 5 schools are able to get the same NIL funding and same NIL collective money, then I think we're going to see more, especially big-time quarterbacks, go to smaller schools. It just makes sense on paper. If I can make similar money going to a smaller school, but now I can potentially start as a true freshman or redshirt freshman versus a redshirt sophomore, redshirt junior.
If I choose wisely, I have the opportunity to play in the college football playoffs with the at-large bid, the G5 at-large bid.
Right. And you used to be able to negative recruit with that. You used to be able to say, well, Memphis or whoever, like
you're playing for an AAC title, bro. Right. That's all you got.
So not only can you actually genuinely compete for a national championship now, you can start early, you can make similar money, and you can be like the guy.
That is a recruiting pitch that I think we're seeing Ryan Silverfield flourish with right now.
Tune into On the Bluff with Christian Fowler and Gabe Kuhn every Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Anthony Sain Show. Great segment with my guy, man, Elliot Perry, man. You heard this guy saying, "I've been waiting for my invite."
Yeah,
you really said.
certain people, you go, you ain't got to be invited. You let us know. You make the call.
I've hit this man up. I've DM'd him, texted him plenty of times. But this time, he's a busy man. I know I'll be texting him at bad times. But anyway. Elliot Perry, great interview, man. Like I said, just a great guy. A lot of people don't know that humanitarian, and philanthropist side of him for sure, man. He's definitely a guy who loves the city of Memphis and the young people in the city of Memphis, man.
Absolutely.
Like I said, and that's something.
He was one of them. He was one of them.
That definitely speaks to me and you for sure, man. Like there's a lot of guys that are products of the city, but that don't have that type of heart, and he definitely, he definitely does. So shout out again to my man Elliot Perry.
Yeah, I have a strict no autograph photo policy with people that I liked back in the day, like that were kind of idols of heroes of mine, I might have to make an exception when I see him next time. Because
for sure.
Elliot, I was 8 years old, man, when I first saw him.
Because a little 8 to 10-year-old me for that run when he was with the Tigers, man. I feel like I know how Gabe feels when he gets excited about the guys he's his sports heroes or whatever. And before we get started with the 3-pointer, man, I want to remind you guys, 9-on-1 Wrestling is this Saturday night at Black Lodge, 7:00 p.m. Check it out, man. It's gonna be a great show. We got a family situation, Kenny Stubblefield, with Adonis. He's going to be taking on the Merc Chris Evans. Prince Adonis taking on Chris Evans in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Cousin versus cousin, man. You know how it goes down when families get into it, man. Probably started at the cookout or family reunion like that. It's bleeding over to the ring. These dudes been fighting all over the city of Memphis, man. The Comic-Cons, and they came on our show. We tried to sit down with these guys and talk it out. But hopefully it's going to come to a head this Saturday night at Black Lodge. Visit 901wrestling.com to get your tickets for that. For 901 Wrestling. But the 3-pointer, Kenny Stubblefield, where we talk about 3 things that are going on in the world of sports. Oh, man. We talked about this a little bit in the beginning, man. But fat-ass, out-of-shape Luka Doncic, Kenny Stubblefield, Brian Windhorst, eatered this man. He eatered this man after the game. I think you've got a clip for those of you that did not hear it, and put a little remix to it. So let's see what we get.
There we go.
I thought it was perfect that Luka fell onto the ground there in an unacceptable position to put himself in with 4 minutes left with 5 fouls, and then immediately looks at the bench and says, "You better bleeping challenge it," as if it's the bench's fault that he just made a terrible play. I'm standing here in the Mavericks tunnel. Over there is the Celtics tunnel. That's where the winners are. If Luka's ever going to be a winner coming out of this tunnel here, he is going to have to use this, what's happened in this finals, as a learning experience. His defensive performance is unacceptable. He is a hole on the court. The Celtics are attacking him. They are ahead in this series because they have attacked him defensively. And you've got a situation here where Luka is complaining about the officiating. They have begged him. They have talked with him. They have pleaded with him. He is costing his team because of how he treats the officials. He's a brilliant player. He does so many things well. They're here because of how he did. His performance in this game is unacceptable, and the reason why the Mavericks are not going to win. He's got to get over this. And the fact that he came out after the game and blamed the officials showed me he's nowhere close yet. So maybe over the summer, somebody will get to him. Because nobody with the Mavericks or anybody else in his life has. That's where the Mavericks are at this point. They're never going to get to this tunnel with the trophy if he doesn't improve those aspects of his game.
Nobody in his life, man. Nobody can get to him, man.
Luka's mama himself.
Luka's mama can't get to him.
Stop bitching. No, pass the pizza rolls.
No. Where the ding dongs? Where the honey buns? Where's
pass me my unnecessary gear to put on. Pass me my half t-shirt sleeve. And my weird ass headband that looks like a shoestring. Pass me that. It's like a scrunchie. Pass me that.
Pass me my little Debbie snack.
Right. Yeah, man. But a wild commentary from Brian Windhorst. I don't know, man. When you think about, LeBron's getting ready to get up out of here, man. LeBron was Brian Windhorst's cash cow. Maybe he has to pick a feud with Luka.
Didn't Brian Windhorst move to Cleveland and become?
I want to say he covered LeBron in high school or some shit like that.
Didn't he cover LeBron? Wasn't that how he got on ESPN?
That's how he got into that's how he got in. I want to say he covered LeBron ever since high school, and he rode with LeBron all the way through this shit.
Hey man, when a cuck calls you a bitch,
basically,
you down bad.
Dude whose voice ain't even had puberty yet. Like that.
When a cuck calls you a bitch, you down bad, bro.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. But like I said, Luka, man, horrible play. He didn't even show the play when he was, baiting the foul against Jaylen Brown on that 3-point attempt. I don't even think they even showed that. They ended up basically
he did it twice.
It's basically like being a turnover. You get fouled out of the game,
right?
Then you're screaming at your coaching staff to do this, that, and the other. Like Luka's really kind of been the out of control dude like this all the time. And when he's hitting crazy shots on Rudy Gobert, you love it, all these type of things. But man, we just saw this dude have a meltdown. You know what I mean? In the NBA Finals, basically. And like I said, man, I think Luka's an incredible player. I've been kind of attached to him for the way I would kind of ridicule people who were all of a sudden became international scouts when it came down to Luka Doncic for one reason or another. But like I said, he's had a tremendous career, and he'll be back. He'll be, I'm not gonna say he's gonna be back to the finals, because how do you say somebody's gonna be back in the finals? But he'll have his day to redeem himself on the court, and that could be Friday. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, Brian Windhorst saying, keep walking down that loser tunnel. Man, dude. Wow. It's just, but wow. I wonder who told him that. Because somebody had to tell him, like, bro, like this is some constant shit with him. Like, that whole thing is just absolutely nuts.
It is interesting though, because like you wonder when you have these star players, like even Elliot in his in our conversation with him, he talked about specific conversations he's had with Ja and his family, right? Like that they've had that it sounds like to me a group of people in the Memphis Grizzlies organization has had with Ja and his family. And it's like, you got to wonder, like, what
dropping nuggets out here, man.
Dropping nuggets. Like, and you go, you got to wonder, like, how frustrating those conversations are when that person's not listening. And it definitely feels like Ja has heard those conversations, and he's moving the court.
Council, the city around him. Yeah.
Is Elliot Perry the wise count? Was it what was
Paul
Heyman?
Paul Heyman. Yeah.
Is he the Paul Heyman?
Name is Elliot Perry.
But I mean, you got to think about it. Like this has been his problem his entire career, man. He complains constantly, and again, like, those foul calls that he had in those last 2 minutes or last 4 minutes, those were absolutely a byproduct of him not being in condition, him not being conditioned enough to be able to step in front. It's just crazy to me, man. And it's going to be, unless he gets it fixed, it's going to be a stain on his legacy. Honestly, it really will.
He got to get together, man. It's going to be a stain alongside that half t-shirt sleeve thing he wears, and the stain of cream cheese pizza rolls on his lip. Like, hey man, did you wash your mouth before you going out to That's right. And I'm gonna say this too, man, since we're kicking Luka while he's down. For those of you who think that Luka's 25 years old, stop it. He's not 25 years old. That dude's 30, man. Like, let's stop playing, bro. Like, and you're gonna see his game start declining at the wrong time.
Yeah, I got breaking news about Luka, man. Luka and I watched Elliot Perry at University of Memphis together.
It's one of his sports heroes.
Right, it's one of his sports heroes.
Man, speaking of sports heroes, Penny Hardaway, man, got a lot of stuff going on at the University of Memphis. You started off the show when we were, going through the show run through, talking about, hey man, I don't think the kids coming to Memphis. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, what happened? Come on, man, this is your segment, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, so obviously, Arthur Kaluma has been mentioned quite a bit regarding the University of Memphis when they lost out on David Jones, when David Jones stayed in the draft. Everybody, well, Arthur Kaluma is the next guy up. Well, friend of the program Leon Taylor and friend of the program Jason Munns both reported today Penny's never even talked to Arthur Kaluma.
Is that real, man? Or is it cap?
At this point, if he hasn't reached out to Arthur Kaluma, then I'm like, what the hell, bro? Like, what the hell? Number one. But number two, maybe it is. I'm not downgrading any of those two guys as reporting on this, but I'm just saying, like, it's wild to me to think that Arthur Kaluma hadn't been reached out to, because what we were basically told is that, because we've done our own digging on it since those two reports came out, is that the idea of Arthur Kaluma to Memphis came from Arthur Kaluma's camp itself, trying to drive up his NIL price. And so
Penny never had a conversation with him.
That's what Penny has said. That Penny has said to other reporters in the city, I've never talked to Arthur Kaluma. The craziness around Arthur Kaluma and people thinking that he was coming here was being pushed by Arthur Kaluma's camp to raise up his NIL asking price, which smart, good job, guys. You did it. But yeah, man. So I think our also friend of the program, Hitman Hoops, reported that, and I got to find his name, but there's a UNLV kid that that they're reaching out to now. We'll see, man. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, can I throw out what that sounds like to me? And you tell me what it sounds on base or off base. All right, Penny Hardaway is head coach at the University of Memphis, right?
Right.
Rick Stansberry is his assistant coach, who's been taking the lead on a lot of the recruiting stuff, right? He's kind of been the guy who's kind of sealed the deal, initiated conversations, all those type of things. A lot of guys. Could this be that Penny could be telling the truth, that Rick Stansberry could be the guy who's handling this recruiting, and now we're posturing with the Columba people like, look, like this is just something we're doing to like, look, we're not gonna screw around with y'all. This is what's on the table for y'all. If you want it, come get it. Could it be that? Could it be something like that?
Based on what I've heard, no.
Damn. What are we doing? Hey, you know what, bro? The Grizzlies need a center. This could be the offseason. They could put us in the NBA Finals next year. I don't have time to deal with Penny, man. We're going to put this off to the side. I'll deal with that in November or something, man. I mean, that's not making any sense, bro.
But it could be, but based on what I've been told, no, it's that,
okay.
that yeah, there hasn't ever been a conversation.
Yeah, I don't have time for that. All right, but there is other stuff going on.
I feel like a dummy because I've been all over Ball City Media's airwaves going, yeah, I'm not worried about Arthur Columba.
Yeah, man,
he's coming.
Seen, edits and the kid with a Tiger jersey on. And
yeah, man.
Who was the kid I saw like had a picture of him and his mama on the thing? What was that, bro?
I don't know.
I don't know what I was looking at. It was about that even been Memphis. Some kid was posed up with his mama in his edit. Anyway, we'll move on. But
he loves his mama, man.
Hey, exactly. Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. But also Mike Davis, former Indiana coach, he coached somewhere in one of our conferences too.
He coached at I think, was it UAB? I might be wrong about that.
I feel like I remember him going against us, like, a long time ago. Mike Davis, who maybe this is a old picture I'm looking at, but it seems like he's not aging. I'm hoping this is an old picture I'm looking at, because if not, this dude's a vampire, because he looks great. He looks amazing.
What do they say, man? Black don't crack.
He was at Detroit Mercy, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's official. That's happened, right? He's joining the Penny staff.
It was announced that he is coming. He is in some kind of role. He's going to play. Yeah. I don't think he's going to be an assistant coach. I think he's coming on as an advisor, which kind of along the same lines as a Larry Brown. But even though Larry Brown was, on the bench as well. But yeah, man, it can't hurt. I mean, Mike Davis is
12 dudes getting a check over there next year. So he's like, bro,
hey, man. Penny ain't hurting for staff. I'll tell you that, man. He's got plenty of people coming through.
Yeah. Also, rumors of former Louisville assistant coach Nolan Smith could possibly join the staff as well.
I think so. Penny and Nolan Smith have been rumored together for quite a while. Nolan Smith was an assistant coach under Mike Krzyzewski at Duke. Obviously, played for Mike Krzyzewski at Duke, and. So when Mike Krzyzewski was on his way out, Nolan Smith was like, listen, I want to be a bench coach. His role at Duke was he was a kind of a director of player personnel kind of a role, and he wanted to be a bench coach. And so in that interim time where he was talking to Penny, Mike gave him a job on the bench at Duke. Obviously he left Duke when Mike left and became the head coach at or became assistant coach at Louisville. All you gotta do is Google it, man. Some really nasty stuff went down at Louisville with Nolan Smith and Kenny Payne. So we'll see, man. It's just rumors. I don't know how true it is, but or even if it's gonna happen or not, but there's just conversations being had.
And I think it was last episode we talked about people who we didn't know what color, like we totally thought they were another color till we saw them, right? Like, I'm not a college basketball guy.
You thought Nolan Smith
did not know Kenny Payne was a black man.
Oh, you didn't? No. Yeah, man.
Not at all. The coach of Louisville was a black dude.
Yeah. Kenny Payne was wild. Let me tell you, man, Kenny Payne had the most crazy. He had the most crazy storyline that happened in college basketball last year. Tyler Johnson, who was committed to the University of Memphis, was denied entrance to the University of Memphis due to academic stuff, ended up going to Louisville, and Kenny Payne comes up there on a press conference after the game, and he basically goes off on Tyler Johnson for threatening to not play the game because he didn't have the right sleeves or the right leg warmers or whatever you want to call them.
Right.
And it's just the most embarrassing. Like, I just was like, Kenny, what are you doing, bro? Like, why are you outing your players publicly like that in front of media? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can get on, you can be upset about that, but it just felt weird and awkward. And so Kenny Payne was a disaster at Louisville. He's back in Kentucky. But anyway, so Nolan needs Nolan needs a job, man.
Yeah. So that might be pretty dope for Penny. We heard Elliot Perry talking about coaching, continuity at the University of Memphis. I think this is, hopefully Penny can get that staff a little bit more solidified going forward. He's got about 12 dudes on payroll. So we'll see how the whole thing works out.
Yep. Yeah, I just don't get too hot and bothered by coaching changes, assistant coaching staff changes. Like I know a lot of folks don't like it, and even Elliot Perry was talking about it. I just kind of go, whatever. Not a big deal.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And number 3, Kenny Stubblefield, in a more solemn tone, Jerry West passes away. The logo himself,
man.
A lot of people who didn't really know Jerry West, the player, may have just gotten to know who he was off of the HBO show, Winning Time, a show about the Los Angeles Lakers. And I'm not going to lie, ever since I watched that show, I processed everything through the filter of Winning Time when it comes down to Jerry West. Jerry West, of course, was the GM that legitimized us as a franchise. That's the best way I can describe him. I remember the day getting excited to see Jerry West was named as the GM of the Memphis Grizzlies. Took this organization from an organization that looked kind of amateur in the NBA to solidifying this roster, making moves, bringing in Hubie Brown,
the best coach in the
when they got Mike Miller. I'm trying to think of some other things he did. Just making more competent moves to this team and just solidifying us as an organization. Did some silly things as well. I think he was flat-foot lying about the story about Kobe Bryant wanting to come here, and I think the whole thing was a lie. And I've got reasons why I think it was a lie as well. Because I think if Kobe Bryant was talking about leaving the Lakers, he was headed to Chicago. He wasn't coming to Memphis. I don't think that ever was a real conversation. And,
I just think my opinion on that has changed. The first time I heard that, I was like, man, what the hell, Jerry West?
I never thought that was real because I remember hearing that story before now. Like, I remember hearing that story back when it happened, and I never thought that was true. And I was like, yeah, that's cap. Like, it sounds good. And I heard Jerry West is kind of known for elaborating things like that. So I don't think that ever was true. Kobe was headed to if he was leaving the Lakers, he was headed to Chicago. And you got to remember, that's the summer where this is what people have to remember about that story as well. That's the summer where Shaq and Kobe were up for contract situations, I think, at the same time. The Lakers traded Kobe that year. They traded him to Miami that year. So it was never,
they traded Shaq that year.
Shaq to Miami.
Right.
It was never in doubt whether they were going to keep Kobe. They moved him and they invested in Kobe. Kobe was wondering about his contract situation. It wasn't a thing like he was just going to leave the Lakers for no reason and go anywhere. But it was the contract situation about whether they were going to take care of him or Shaq. They moved off of Shaq and they invested in Kobe. So that whole thing is BS to me. But yeah, Jerry West, like I said, legendary player, man, one of the greatest of all time. One of the great combo guards in the NBA, a guy who could play on the ball, off the ball, great scorer, great competitor.
I was pretty surprised to hear he was sick. I didn't know he was sick like that.
No, I didn't know either. Multi-time NBA champion. Just in every organization he went to, he impacted them, whether it's the Clippers, the Warriors, the Grizzlies. Yeah. Just a great, great, great legend of the game. And we were just talking about how so many of our legends have not passed away. We've lost another one since then.
We've lost Bill Walton. We've lost Bill Walton. Now we've lost Jerry West. Yeah, it's crazy.
The Grizzlies released a statement on him, definitely, talking about the impact he had on this organization. It was just, I just remember feeling legitimized. I just remember when we added him, feeling like, yeah, man, we're for real. Like we're big time now. This guy's going to get us there. And of course, the Kobe Bryant stuff, people knew he was a Laker, and there were people, that whole thing about him in Memphis, but stop capping. Well, can't cap out nothing. But the funniest thing that I've seen, people are going to be super insensitive on the internet. And they were saying Jerry West was so petty and such a Boston Celtics hater that he tapped up out of here. He got out of here before
they could win.
I thought that was crazy for sure. But like I said, rest in peace to Jerry West, man.
Nah, what it is he got up out of here before they could hire JJ Redick, man. That's
right.
What it is. Right. He's like, hell no, bro.
y'all hey, the Dan Hurley stuff about it just took about it. Like, y'all got potential like that, man. Look, I can't believe this crap. Like, it wouldn't have happened to me. Couldn't have been me.
Speaking of, to go off we got a comment today saying the Lakers didn't get finessed by Dan Hurley, that he has a contract already with UConn, so he's not getting more money. And I'm like, do you know how contracts in the sports world work?
Oh, that was a YouTube comment?
Yeah.
Hey,
a YouTube comment.
Skeletor meme. That's all I gotta say to y'all, man. I use every laughing emoji I could. I don't know how many characters Twitter allows you when you got a premium account, but I use every one of them.
You use it till your thumb got tired, bro.
Right. I was copying and pasting my ass off till it backed off. I don't know how many it was. But yeah, like I said, again, man, rest in peace to Jerry West, a guy who made a stop through here and definitely impacted this organization for sure. Tell you what, Kenny, about to take a break. When we come back, man, but talk about interesting story going, interesting phenomenon going on. I want to see what she would do in this situation. We'll talk about that and more for Inside the Same Brain, sponsored by our good friends at Creative Sig. We'll see you guys in a minute.
I am about to plant my flag, brother. June 10th, I have made my declaration. I am on the John Collins to Memphis train. Give me somebody whose game fits versus just who has the big name that you would love. The reason why he got traded from the Atlanta Hawks, he had a finger injury. Before his finger injury, he was a three-point shooting threat, also a lob threat, also a rim running big that could just stretch the floor, 15 points, almost 9 rebounds, a block a game, 62% true shooting percentage, 37 from 3. You cannot tell me that does not work next to Jaren Jackson Jr., especially if your idea is to run a 5-out offense. The guy is almost at 9 rebounds, which we need. He's stretching the floor with his 3-ball. And he's a rim runner. He is the perfect person to put in between Ja and Jaren.
Tune into the No Bluffing Podcast with your hosts, Christian Ingram and Evan Hayes, every Monday at 12 p.m. only on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel. At Creatisig, our top priority is to provide the best customer service experiences possible while offering the largest variety of vape supplies, legal THC products, and smoking accessories. Our trained sales associates are here to assist any and all customers to help them find the best products available. With our daily deals, weekend deals, loyalty rewards program, and our punch card program, there are tons of rewards to earn to help our customers save plenty of money along the way. Check out one of Creatisig's 4 locations across the greater Memphis area and come visit us.
All right, y'all, welcome back to Nathan the Same Show. Final segment of the show, Inside the Same Brain, sponsored by our friends at Creative Sig. 4 area locations, guys. Check them out. You might see me at the one on 10 North McLean out of Midtown. You might see my boy Kenny Stubblefield to join out there in Collierville on 435 New Byhalia Road. But what you'll find at every location is great customer service, whether you're a nicotine user, a Delta 8 user like myself, or both. They have everything you need out there at Creative Sig, including the Sain Asylum pack, guys. You can ask for it by name. Whether you're a nicotine user or a Delta 8 user, the nicotine pack comes with any wave bar, any Ursa Nano kit, any 60 milliliter Theory, or 30 milliliter salt Nick juice. Over on the Delta 8 side, of course, it comes with a free pre-roll, comes with a free disposable vape, and a free pack of edibles. I love the edibles, man. I ain't hit none in a minute because, hey, I had to back up out them joints sometimes.
You have to lock in, man. Like you've been so busy, you got to lock in.
Yeah, I got bills, so I ain't got to do shit the next day type energy. Take one of them joints, even half one of them joints. I got to have nothing to do at all. My brother just moved into a new apartment, a new house. And we're gonna watch the finals game on Friday, so I might pop one of those as the Boston Celtics win that championship on Friday. So I might do it then. But yeah,
hey, I got a real piece of advice for all the men out there. All right. Mm-hmm. I knew I was going to be having a conversation with my wife about finances a few weeks ago, and I knew what time I popped one, and it was the most enjoyable financial conversation I've ever had. Right? Like
you feel like Charlie Brown talking to the teacher.
I was good, bro. I was like, "I'm here, babe.
I'm with you. Whatever you want to do, baby.
Whatever you want to do, baby. I'm good. I'm right here with you."
Yeah. Shout out to the people at Creative Sig for getting my guy Kenny Stubblefield to a typically stressful situation. I'm glad you mentioned your spouse in this situation, Kenny, because there's a phenomenon that is tearing up households right now, man. Oh man, I saw this story. I was like, bro, this is wild. Chris Brown, a famous R&B singer. Some people say he's the greatest dancer of all time, even a better dancer than Michael Jackson. I don't really argue with that. I think he's phenomenal. Chris Brown is a very talented dude. made some decisions in his personal life that affected his career. Those things already go without mention. We already know those things that happened with him. That kind of stunted his growth as far as a entertainer concerned. But Chris Brown is doing this thing now where his fans can pay $1,000, Kenny Stubblefield, to take a picture with Chris Brown. I don't know where this is taking place. I don't know if this is happening after concerts, so he's just doing meet and greets. But the pictures look real regular. Like they look like club pictures. Look like something you take in front of the old airbrush wall. You can like see the outlets in the wall. This is wild shit, bro. But it's variances with the pictures, right? Some of them are kind of traditional. Some of them are kind of risque. And people are taking pictures. Guys and girls are taking pictures with Chris Brown. Guys are breaking up with girlfriends over some of the pictures because of the poses they're taking, or simply because finding out their girlfriend spent that type of money for that type of thing. Dudes,
that's what it is. Let's be real.
All right, Kenny. So that leads me to ask you this: we had Elliot Perry on here. We were in groupie mode when he came on. Elliot Perry is one of my original basketball hero for sure. I think you said he's yours as well. But with that being said, is there anyone, guy or girl, that you would pay $1,000 to take a picture with them?
Hell no.
And how bad off is Chris Brown? Like, how much money is he making doing this? Is what I'm wondering. Like, that just seems wild, brother.
You think he's bad off, or you think he's?
I'm joking about that part, but I just think like, who is that for? Is he doing that to? Who's getting paid? Who's really getting paid? Because I doubt he's. But here's the thing, though, man. Like, if he gets 100 people to do that, that's $100,000, bro. You know what I mean? So that's not small change we're talking about.
No, I mean, if people are willing,
people
to
are
do
posting
it,
these pictures
not?
all over social media. It's almost like a bragging right to post these pictures. So,
I mean, I've never even. Oh my god, yeah, I'm looking at some of these pictures now. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. That is so funny.
Right.
He's got. Sorry, you sent this, and I was like, "What the?" This is where I know I'm old, man, because like I'm like in here going, "What the hell are you talking about?" Now I'm looking at some of the pictures. I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'd break up with that chick too if she did that."
Yeah, wow, man. He's carrying one girl like around his waist. I'm like, oh, it's wild. It's wild.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen. When you're a celebrity, you can get away with a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah.
And I mean, our 45th president said that when you're a celebrity, you can grab them wherever, right? Like you can get away with. They let you do it because you're a celebrity. It's that not that he's doing. Chris Brown's not doing anything illegal or anything close to what Cheeto Boy said.
Yeah.
But I think that no, there's not a single person in this world, past, present, future. Maybe a few past that I would take a picture with for $1,000.
G-ball, that's wild, bro. Okay,
$1,000. That's crazy. $1,000 is a lot.
Yeah, I can have a night of. Well, no, let me just leave that alone. But I'm just saying, for $1,000, I can make some other stuff happen, bro. But people who are not so famous, you know what I mean? So I don't know, bro. I don't know, man. I can't see myself doing it. No. I think that if my girlfriend or wife or whatever was doing it, and I didn't know nothing about it, I would have an issue with that. If she came to me about that, like, hey, we think about spending $1,000 on this. No, that's a whole Six Flags vacation. You know
right. We can go to Disney for that. What are we talking about?
$1,000.
Like, that's season tickets to the Grizzlies, man. What are you talking about? No, I don't know. I don't know how much season tickets are. That's season tickets to the Memphis Tiger women's basketball program, man. What are we talking about?
For like the next 5 years. Like, no.
Yeah.
That's like it's a whole lot of Memphis wrestling. I mean, 901 wrestling. So,
right.
Yeah, no, don't do it. Don't do it.
No, I wouldn't be able to do that. No,
we're not gonna do it. What you can do, if your wife has you stressed out talking about your finances or want to take $1,000 picture with Chris Brown, you can go to Creative Sig and get the Sain Asylum pack. Get your mind right, man. Get the stress off your chest. Get that Delta 8 pack. Get that nicotine pack. It'll get you right. 4 area locations. Go check them out, man. Get what you need. They're going to treat you like family. They're going to know you by name. Not the first time. They're going to get to know you real soon. But Kenny Stubblefield, man, it's been another great show. Had one of the great legends, Elliot Perry, one of the legends in Memphis sports, came on today, man, and just went over the whole gambit. And he talked about, the Grizzlies, talked about the Tigers. He talked about, just being a philanthropist, man, and reaching back out to the next generation, something he's been doing above ground and underground for forever here in the city of Memphis, man. Pleasure having him on. For Kenny Stubblefield, this is Anthony Sain. We'll see you guys next week on the Anthony Sain Show. And we out.
Thank you for listening to The Anthony Sain Show. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. For comprehensive coverage of Memphis sports, head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co and find out how you can become an insider. We will see you back here next week.